So we will start with unit number 5, that is radiation. Of course, this is the syllabus. You already have it. I just read out the syllabus pertaining to radiation heat transfer, that is basic concepts, emission characteristics, laws of black body radiation, radiation incident on a surface, solid angle, radiation intensity, radiation heat, heat exchange by radiation between two finite black surfaces, shape factor and problems on it. So of course you people have this copy. We will be covering radiation in 2 class sessions, and of course this being the first class session, these are all the things which we people are going to cover. See, the basic concepts of all radiation we will be covering in one class itself, that is definition of radiation, theories of radiation, black body radiation, total and spectral emissive power, radiation incident on a surface, laws of radiation, emissivity, and some numerical. If you go by pure definition of thermal radiation, it tells us that the heat which is being transferred by virtue of its temperature and without any intervening media is called radiation. We all know that the heat is getting transferred from sun to the earth's surface by means of radiation, and it travels through all sorts of matter. Sometimes matter is present, sometimes there is no matter present, and there is no intervening media. We also have studied in the unit 1, that is basic laws which govern the radiation process, and heat transfer which takes place through vacuum is radiation. This is what we people have learned. So by pure definition means when heat is getting transferred by virtue of its temperature without any intervening media is of course radiation. And of course the physical interpretation of radiation is a bit very difficult to show it, but as an example we have the picture shows us that there is a person standing whose body temperature is at 37 degrees centigrade, and at a certain distance we have fire at 500 degrees centigrade, and the air which is in between the person and the fire is at 5 degrees centigrade. The meaning is the intervening media is at a very low temperature, that is 5 degrees centigrade, and heat which gets transferred wherein the delta T is very high between the fire at 5 degrees centigrade and the body at 37 degrees centigrade. This process wherein transfer of heat takes place is radiation. But when there is no intervening media, this air which is at 5 degrees centigrade is at a very low temperature, so it can be understood that the radiation is being taking place. So this physical mechanism of this radiation is partially understood. So the complete understanding of the physical phenomena is not possible. So by definition, without any intermediate media and the heat transfer taking place by virtue of temperature is radiation. So there are basically 2 theories behind this radiation mode of heat transfer. The first being Maxwell's theory, which tells us that the energy gets transferred from a hot body to a cold body by electromagnetic waves. And of course, to transfer this energy content, there is nothing but heat. Of course, heat is a form of energy. Definitely, there is certain matter which possesses this heat, and matter, of course, is composed of atoms and molecules. And as a result, there is a change in the electronic configuration of these atoms and molecules, and hence there is a propagation taking place, and this energy is transported in the form like waves. That is what Maxwell's theory tells us. Now these electromagnetic waves are characterized by their frequency at which they are propagated, and at a certain wavelength called lambda, and this lambda is c by v, wherein this c is the speed of light in the medium, and we all know that in vacuum conditions the speed of light is 3 lakh kilometers per second, or 3 into 10 raised to 8 meters per second. And this concept is, of course, very useful for the prediction of radiation properties of surfaces and materials. So lambda is equal to C by V is based on Maxwell's theory. This, of course, is the typical spectrum of electromagnetic radiation due to temperature of a body. We are finding that the upper scale of the spectrum indicates wavelength in terms of micrometers, right from 10 raised to 5 to 10 raised to minus 4. And the frequency of 10 raised to 11 to 10 raised to 17. And we are finding that these microwaves are in the range of 10 raised to 5 to 10 raised to 2. And the thermal radiation which we people are dealing now at present lies in the wavelength band of 10 raised to 2 to 10 raised to minus 1. So whatever electromagnetic waves are emitted or transferred in the wavelength of 10 raised to minus 1 to 10 raised to 2, that all is thermal radiation. And we are finding that this thermal radiation is again bifurcated into two parts. One is infrared and another one is solar. And this infrared has a wavelength range of 0.76 to 100 micrometers, and solar is having 0.1 to 3 micrometers. And if we go to lesser and lesser wavelengths, we are finding visible part of the solar radiation, some ultraviolet radiation, and X-rays and gamma rays and so on. Now, of course, this particular, there's another theory called Max Planck's theory, which tells us that the propagation of thermal radiation takes place in the form of discrete quanta called photons. And of course, this quantum of energy, he has given it in terms of hc by lambda. Of course, this V is equal to c by lambda. If we go back, it is again based on Maxwell's theory, wherein Maxwell's theory tells us lambda is equal to c by V. And V is, of course, the frequency, c is speed of light, and lambda is wavelength. So H is equal to V is equal to hc by lambda. This was proposed by Max Planck's concept, and this, of course, is quantum theory. So he proposed H to be Planck's constant, that is 6.62 to 10 raised to minus 34 joule second. And therefore, the conclusion drawn by this theory was that the energy of the photons is inversely proportional to wavelength. Of course, if we go back to this wavelength and see that lesser and lesser wavelengths are for ultraviolet, visible solar radiation, X-rays and gamma rays. And if we see here that energy content E is equal to hc by lambda also tells that E is inversely proportional to lambda. So lesser the value of lambda, higher would be the value of C, and vice versa. So this relation wherein the energy of the photons is inversely proportional to wavelength was given by Max Planck. So these are the two theories behind which a radiation concept is based upon. Now we'll move on to black body radiation. Of course, we all have come across this in physics, wherein we define a black body to be a perfect absorber and a perfect emitter. But it has got certain properties, like the first being the black body absorbs all incident radiation from all directions at all wavelengths. So it is absorbing almost all incident radiation which is falling on it, maybe in any direction, maybe at any wavelength. The second thing is, at a specified temperature and wavelength, no body can emit energy more than a black body. The meaning is it is a perfect emitter. It is a perfect emitter at any specified wavelength and temperature. It is a perfect absorber at any temperature and wavelength. So these are the first two properties. The third being, although the radiation emitted by a black body depends upon the wavelength and temperature, it is independent of direction. So the direction in which the radiation takes place, this direction isn't dependent upon the black body property. So a black body neither reflects nor transmits any amount of incident radiation. Whatever falls on the black body, everything is getting absorbed. So there is no question of reflection or transmission. So these are the four typical properties of a black body, and we need to remember that a black body is, in actual real life sense, isn't existing. So it is only a ideal thing to tell that a black body is a good emitter as well as an absorber, and it is a poor reflector and a transmitter, and it is a pure emitter and absorber at uh, any wavelength and at any temperature. In order to understand this concept of black body, we have taken an isothermal enclosure. I hope we all have come across the word isothermal, wherein the temperature remains constant, and this enclosure has got a cavity through which a radiation beam is incident, and it falls on the inner surface of this enclosure. As soon as this radiation beam falls on the inner surface of the enclosure, we are finding that there is a first reflection taking place. Part of it is absorbed. There is a partial absorption taking place, and the remainder is getting reflected, and it falls on the some other end of the isothermal enclosure. Again, there is a second reflection, and again part of it is absorbed, and it falls again on the remainder falls on the other end of the surface, and again there is a third reflection and a partial absorption again is taking place. So like this, there are multiple reflections taking place, and we are finding that the radiation beam which entered never came out. So it totally got absorbed by multiple reflections and multiple partial absorptions taking place. So this actually explains the pseudo black body, only just to understand a concept, but of course such isothermal enclosures aren't existing. The next concept is, of course, emissive power. If we take up emissive power by pure definition, means that it is the energy emitted by a surface in all directions over the entire wavelength, of course per unit area and per unit time. And this emissive power is dependent upon three characteristics, and those three characteristics of course are epsilon, that is emissivity, lambda, that is wavelength of radiation, and T, that is absolute temperature, of course in Kelvin. It is usually denoted by capital E, and it's measured in watt per meter square. Watt per meter square is the unit used in order to measure emissive power. Now of course it is a function of three different parameters, that is emissivity, which is a surface characteristic, and lambda, that is of course wavelength, and absolute temperature, that is T, and at what temperature is the body is existing, and at what wavelength it is radiating, and what is its emission characteristics, that is emissivity. It all depends upon these three factors. So it is going to vary because it is dependent upon three independent properties. Of course, there's one another way of defining emissive power, which is called as spectral or monochromatic emissive power. Means if the amount of radiation which is emitted, of course from a surface which is at an absolute temperature T, per unit time and per unit surface area, the per unit wavelength is also taken into account. So if you can see that whatever emissive power is emitted per unit wavelength, that is called monochromatic emissive power or spectral emissive power. Whereas if we don't consider per unit wavelength, it is only emissive power. So if you can see, this emissive power is denoted by capital E and is having a unit of watt per meter square, whereas this spectral or monochromatic emissive power is having a unit of watt per meter square micrometer, and it is denoted by E suffix lambda. If we draw a graph of lambda along x-axis, lambda is of course the wavelength, and E lambda along y-axis, that is E lambda is spectral or monochromatic emissive power, and if you plot a graph, that E lambda T is the spectral or monochromatic emissive power at one particular wavelength. So as we can see, it is making a peak and again going to fall. It all depends upon the wavelength. So monochromatic emissive power is dependent on wavelength, and only emissive power is independent of wavelength. Of course, it is dependent on wavelength, but it is not measured in terms of per wavelength, whereas monochromatic or spectral emissive power is measured in terms of per unit wavelength. That is the major difference between these two. Now, if you can see the total emissive power over the entire surface over the spectrum of wavelength, it can be obtained just by integrating the monochromatic or spectral emissive power between the limits 0 to infinity. Of course, this dE, that is emissive power in a given wavelength band, and that wavelength band is right from lambda to lambda plus d lambda measured in watt per meter square. And of course, E lambda is the monochromatic emissive power lying in that particular band and measured in watt per meter square micrometer. So if we integrate right from 0 to infinity, we get the total emissive power of a surface over the entire spectrum. Now we will move on to radiation which is incident on a surface. The figure shows a semi-transparent material wherein certain radiation is incident on it, and we are finding the notation to be taken as G and is measured in watt per meter square. Of course, this whatever is the incident radiation, part of it gets reflected and part of it gets absorbed and part of it gets transmitted. So whatever is the incident radiation, in pure heat transfer language, we sometimes call it as irradiation also. And it is of course the total radiation which is incident on the surface per unit area and per unit time. The time aspect also comes into picture because there is measured in watt per meter square, and watt is nothing but joule per second. So we can also write it as joule per meter second or watt per meter square. It is usually denoted by capital G. This part of it which is reflected is rho G, in the sense rho being less than 1, the fraction of G is getting reflected. And alpha G, alpha is the notation for, of course, is a parameter which is less than 1, and alpha G part of G is getting absorbed, and the remainder which is getting transmitted, and it is tau into G. Now this absorptivity is the fraction of which is getting absorbed. If G is the total irradiation which is incident on a surface, then the part of which is absorbed is absorbed, and if we take a ratio of the part which is absorbed to the part which is received by the surface by irradiation, that ratio is called absorptivity. So G alpha is the part of G which got absorbed. So G alpha by G is alpha, and alpha is of course the notation which is taken for absorptivity. G alpha is also measured in watt per meter square, and G of course is radiation which is incident on the surface and also is measured in watt per meter square. So the alpha becomes a non-dimension parameter. If it is a black body, this absorptivity will be 1. Why? Because everything which is incident on the black body surface, everything is absorbed. So the meaning is G alpha is equal to G and alpha is equal to 1, provided it is a black body. If you take reflectivity, so G rho is a part of G which is getting reflected, and if we take the ratio of G rho by G is equal to rho, and rho is a notation which is taken in order to denote reflectivity. So in order to understand the different reflections, we have two diagrams over here. There is a incident ray which is falling on a surface, and it is a mirror-like surface, and of course there is a line which is indicating the normal, which is perfectly perpendicular to the flat mirror-like surface, and the reflected ray is also making an angle of theta, and the incident ray is also making an angle of theta with the normal. So if the reflection is taking place in such a manner, so it is a mirror-like surface, and it's very difficult to find such surfaces. Of course, mirrors which we find in our day-to-day life can act as a mirror-like surface also. The second diagram tells us that there is a single incident ray which is coming and falling on the surface and is making an angle of theta with the normal. And we are finding that the reflected rays are coming out in multiple directions and they are getting diffused. So when these reflected rays are in multiple directions, then it is a diffuse kind of a reflection. Now there is something which is between diffuse and specular, which is usually a real surface. So when an incident ray is falling on the surface at an angle theta to the normal, then these reflected surfaces are coming out in multiple directions, but they aren't going very near to this incident ray. So this of course is a real surface which is somewhere between diffuse and specular. Of course, we have discussed what is absorptivity and reflectivity. We will move on to transmittivity. The G tau is the fraction of G which is getting transmitted. So if I take a ratio of G tau to G, that ratio is called tau, and tau is transmissivity. So the unit for G tau is also watt per meter square, and the unit for G is also watt per meter square. So if I take a ratio of these two, I get transmittivity, which is a non-dimension parameter. So G alpha, part of G which got absorbed, G rho, part of G which got reflected, G tau, part of G which got transmitted. So if I add part which got absorbed, the part which got reflected, and the part which got transmitted, if I add everything, it is nothing but irradiation. So if I divide both the sides by G, I get alpha plus rho plus tau is equal to 1, means the part absorptivity plus transmittivity plus reflectivity is 1. We move on to monochromatic irradiation or spectral irradiation, which tells us that the radiation heat flux which is incident on a surface per unit wavelength, about a wavelength lambda from all directions, and is denoted by G lambda. So it is watt per meter square micrometer, and it's mathematically written wherein I am differentiating G with respect to lambda. So G lambda is dG lambda, dG by d lambda. If we integrate this G lambda over the right from the limit 0 to infinity, it becomes hemispherical irradiation. So definitely we have absorptivity, reflectivity, and as we have absorptivity, reflectivity, and transmittivity over here, we have absorptivity, reflectivity, and transmittivity for a particular wavelength also. So spectral absorptivity is alpha suffix lambda, and it is of course the fraction of monochromatic irradiation which is absorbed. Likewise, rho lambda is monochromatic irradiation which is reflected, and tau lambda is of course the monochromatic energy which is transmitted. So if I take alpha lambda, it will be G lambda alpha divided by G lambda. So G lambda alpha is the part of G lambda which got absorbed. Likewise, G lambda rho is the part of G lambda which got reflected, and G lambda tau is part of G lambda which got transmitted. So definitely, if I take the ratio of these, I am getting alpha lambda, rho lambda, and tau lambda. So if I add all these likewise at particular wavelength lambda, so even in such cases I am finding that absorptivity, transmittivity and reflectivity at particular wavelength lambda, if we add all these, that also results to 1. We will move on to define certain objects which we might have come across in our day-to-day life, like white body, black body and opaque body. Of course, we need to define them in heat transfer language, wherein we define an opaque body telling that there is no transmission at all. So a body is supposed to be opaque when transmittivity is nil. So the sum of absorptivity and reflectivity would be 1. Of course, when alpha plus rho is 1, likewise alpha lambda plus rho lambda would also be 1. This alpha lambda and rho lambda, of course, are with respect to the wavelengths, that is spectral absorptivity and spectral reflectivity. If you take up a white body does not absorb anything, and it does not transmit anything also. So we are finding the reflectivity of a white body is too high. So alpha would be 0, tau would also be 0, and rho would be almost 1. If we take up a black body, we all know that a black body is a perfect emitter as well as a perfect absorber. So absorptivity of a black body would be 1, whereas transmittivity and reflectivity of a black body would be 0. There are certain laws of radiation, wherein the first being Max Planck's distribution law, and there is an expression which is being given telling that EB lambda at t is equal to C1 divided by lambda to the power 5 exponential of C2 by lambda t minus 1, wherein the C1 and C2 are constants called Planck's constants, and Kb is Boltzmann's constant, and T is of course temperature, lambda being wavelength, and EB lambda T is the spectral black body emissive power, of course at a temperature T, measured in watt per meter square micrometer. This expression is of course given in a data handbook, wherein the values of C1 and C2 also would be given. So this of course is Max Planck's distribution law. The second one is Wien's displacement law, which tells us that by applying the condition of maxima, we are finding that if we differentiate the expression given by EB lambda and differentiate it with respect to lambda and equate it to 0, of course this is based on the principle of maxima, telling that whatever is the maximum value remains constant, and the first differential of a constant would be 0. So if we differentiate the expression for EB lambda, which is given by Max Planck, with respect to lambda and equate it to 0, what Wien's displacement law tells is that the product of maximum wavelength and the temperature at which we are getting the maximum wavelength, its product is 2897.6 micrometer Kelvin. Of course, micrometer is the unit of lambda and Kelvin is the unit of temperature. So this is lambda max T is equal to 2898 or sometimes 2897.6 is of course Wien's displacement law. So if we turn back to the earlier slide and see, here we are finding in this slide that it is a graph which is showing along x-axis we have wavelength, and along y-axis we have spectral emissive power, and we are finding certain curves which are drawn at specified temperatures like 50 Kelvin, 100 Kelvin, 300, 800, 1000, 2000, 5800 and so on. Now in this particular graph we are finding there is a dotted line which is being drawn, and this dotted line is joining all the peaks of those curves, and the dotted line is indicated as lambda max into T is equal to 2898. Why? Because we already know that your Wien's displacement law is dependent upon maxima. So maximum spectral emissive power at those specified temperatures those maximum emissive powers are joined by means of straight lines. So that straight line is indicating lambda max T is equal to 2898 micrometer Kelvin. So this is what is called as Wien's displacement law. If we take up Stefan-Boltzmann's law, we have studied Stefan-Boltzmann's law, and it's a law which governs radiation mode of heat transfer. That if we integrate the monochromatic or spectral emissive power of a black body, so we get EB as sigma into T to the power 4, wherein sigma is Stefan's constant, well defined as 5.672 into 10 raised to minus 4 watt per meter square Kelvin to the power 4. We will move on to emissivity. Of course, we have done an experiment on emissivity in the lab, which tells us in order to compare the emissive power of a body which is not black and compare it to the emissive power of a body which is black. So definitely that ratio would be less than 1. So since a black body is a perfect emitter, it would have an emissivity value of 1, and any body which is treated as a non-black surface would have an emissivity of less than 1. So emissivity, if you compare the emissive powers of a non-black body to a black body, that comparison itself gives a ratio, and that ratio is usually less than 1. And when we take that ratio, which is a non-dimensional entity, that itself is called emissivity. So emissivity for a black body would be 1. And emissivity for any body which is not called black is somewhere between 0 to 1. And definitely we don't have, of course we have very less substances wherein we have an emissivity of 0, which we aren't aware of. If you take up hemispherical and total emissivity, means if we measure the emissivity that is averaged over all directions, that is hemispherical emissivity. And if the emissivity is averaged over all wavelengths, then it is total emissivity. So hemispherical emissivity is dependent upon direction, and total emissivity is dependent upon wavelengths. So the total hemispherical emissivity, that is epsilon T, is the ratio of radiation heat flux emitted over all wavelengths into a hemispherical space, all directions, to that which would have been by a black body at the same temperature. So we are comparing E of T with, of course, we are comparing the emissivities with respect to a non-black body and to a black body. Now E of T is, of course, the emissivity, emissive power of a body which is not black, and wherever it is written E suffix B, that is emissive power of a black body at the same temperature T. So as per Stefan's law, we can write this E suffix Bt as sigma T to the power 4. So this results in a definition telling E of T means emissive power of a real surface would be a product of emissivity into the emissive power of a black surface. Sigma to the power 4 is emissive power of a black surface, so it is being written as E suffix Bt. So if it is a black surface, then your epsilon value would be 1. So there are certain observations of emissivity. So the emissivity of a metallic surface is very small, having values of very low values. And the presence of oxides improves the emissivity of metallic surfaces. And the non-conductors have large values of emissivity, generally exceeding 0.6. And the emissivity of conducting materials increase with the increase in temperature, but emissivity of non-conducting materials may either increase or decrease. It all depends upon the increasing temperature. So these are certain observations of emissivity of conducting and non-conducting materials, and also metallic surfaces. If we take up spectral emissivity of, as we have spectral or monochromatic emissive bar, we have a parameter called spectral emissivity, and it is of course at a specified wavelength lambda. So epsilon lambda t is equal to E lambda t divided by EB lambda t. So E lambda t is the emissive power at a specified wavelength lambda, but it is for a non-black body. And EB lambda t, of course, is the emissive power of a body at a wavelength lambda and a temperature T, but it's for a black body. So if we take a ratio of these two, we find that it is called spectral or monochromatic emissivity. These formulae are quite similar to the earlier ones which we people have discussed. The only difference being we have a suffix lambda over here, and if I write it as suffix lambda, it means to say that it is per unit wavelength at a specified wavelength. So this parameter is known as spectral emissivity. Discuss what is Kirchhoff's law. Say suppose, and we'll just read out the statement and try to understand it first. At thermal equilibrium in the sense temperature would remain constant. The ratio of total emissive power to total absorptivity is constant for all bodies. This is what the law states. Suppose I am having an enclosure and I consider two small bodies in it, and A1, epsilon 1, alpha 1 are the parameters. Wherever I have written suffix 1, they are belonging to body 1, and A1 is of course area of body 1, epsilon 1 is emissivity of body 1, alpha 1 is absorptivity of body 1. Similarly, we have another body which is having these parameters as A2, epsilon 2 and alpha 2. Now they both are existing at the same temperature T. The temperatures are same, whereas A1, epsilon 1, alpha 1 and A2, epsilon 2, alpha 2, they are different. Now this, whatever is part of it goes absorbed is alpha 1 epsilon t to the power 4. Of course, this is for a black body. So E1 will be epsilon 1 sigma t to the power 4. And since it is at a thermal equilibrium, so definitely the radiation emitted by the body must be equal to the radiation which has got absorbed. So that is the reason the temperature is remaining constant. So I can write E1 is equal to alpha 1 into EB. EB is of course sigma t to the power 4. So this tells us that E1 by alpha 1 is equal to E2 by alpha 2, and suppose I have a number of such small bodies, 3, 4 and 5, everything, that ratio is nothing but EB. So E1 by EB is alpha 1 or epsilon 1 is equal to alpha 1. Why? Because they are at thermal equilibrium and at the same temperature, so the emissivity would be equal to absorptivity. This law was given by Kirchhoff primarily, hence it is being named as Kirchhoff's law. We'll discuss certain numerical. I'll just read out the problem. Calculate the following quantities for an industrial furnace black body emitting radiation at 2650 degrees centigrade. And the problem is expecting us to find number 1, spectral emissive power at wavelength of 1.2 micrometer. Secondly, wavelength at which the emissive power is maximum. And third, maximum spectral emissive power. And fourth, total emissive power. And lastly, the total emissive power of the surface if it is treated as gray and diffuse body with an emissivity of 0.9. If we take up the first parameter, that is spectral emissive power at a specified wavelength, that is the wavelength is given as 1.2 micrometer, we would of course use Planck's law, and the slide shows us that this Planck's law along with Planck's constants, value of C1 and C2 is already given in your data handbook. We can use this formula in order to solve this problem, wherein we can simply put the value of lambda as 1.2 micrometer and substitute the value of C1 and C2 and get the answer. So this is the page which is which is on the first page wherever the radiation chapter starts in the data handbook. So when we substitute, we get the value of as 2.53 into 10 raised to 6 watt per meter square micrometer. Secondly, the problem is expecting us to find the value of maximum wavelength, or the wavelength at which the emissive power is maximum. That is nothing but lambda max. So we use Wien's displacement law. We already know that lambda max T is 2897.6. So we get lambda max as 0.99 micrometer. The third one being maximum spectral emissive power. We can use this particular equation as 12.87 into 10 raised to minus 10 t to the power 5. Of course, this total emissive power is of course the integral of EB lambda sigma t to the power 4. Sigma, we know what actually it is. It is of course the Stefan Boltzmann's constant, that is 5.67 into 10 raised to minus 8, and we choose the temperature as 2923 to the power 4. And total emissive power, when the emissivity is 0.9, we would just multiply epsilon into sigma t to the power 4 and so on. So we get the answer as 3.72 10 raised to 6 watt per meter square. We'll move on to the second problem. Determine the wavelength at which the spectral emissive power of a tungsten filament at 1400 Kelvin is maximum. So again, the first parameter which we need to calculate is dependent upon Wien's displacement law. Secondly, we need to calculate the spectral emissive power at that wavelength. And thirdly, the spectral emissive power at 5 micrometer. Means he is expecting us to find the spectral emissive power at the wavelength at which it is maximum. So we'll just see what is the solution. The wavelength corresponds to maximum emissive power. So lambda max into T is equal to 2897.6, that is micrometer Kelvin. So we get the lambda max as 2.07 micrometer. If you can see this, in order to calculate the spectral emissive power at lambda max, in this Planck's constant formulae, we simply, instead of lambda, we put lambda max. So we all know that lambda max into T is 2897. From that we get the value of lambda max. So I would substitute the value of C1 and C2, and when I substitute lambda max as 2897.6, I would get the ratio as 12.87 into 10 raised to minus 10 t to the power 5. But it is expecting us to find it at 1400 Kelvin. So we substitute 1400 in terms of T and get the value as 69.23 into 10 raised to 3 watt per meter square micrometer. So, lastly, the problem is expecting us to find the monochromatic emissive power at 5 micrometer. So definitely the value of lambda is 5 micrometer and the temperature given is 1400. So we get the product as 7000 micrometer Kelvin. So it is being written here F suffix 0 to lambda as 0.8081. Now if you can see the next slide, we are finding here that there is a table given in your data handbook which gives us the ratio of black body radiant energy up to a wavelength lambda to the total emissive power of the black body at that same temperature. So this table is giving us a black body radiation function as the second column and the fourth column, and lambda T, that is product of lambda and T, is given in first and third column. So for the product of lambda T, right from 800, 1400, 1600, 1800 and so on, it is giving us the black body radiation function. Now if you go back to the slide, our value of lambda into T is 7000 micrometer Kelvin. So at 7000 micrometer Kelvin, we are finding a value of black body radiation function as 0.808109. So if we substitute, if you multiply this black body radiation function with this epsilon into T to the power 4, and of course epsilon value is 5.67 into 10 raised to minus 8, and the value of T is 1400, we get the monochromatic emissive power at 5 micrometer as 1.76 into 10 raised to 5 watt per meter square micrometer. We'll move on to the third problem. The temperature of a filament of an incandescent light bulb, a black body, is maintained at 2500 Kelvin. Calculate the fraction of radiant energy emitted by the filament in the visible spectrum. Also calculate the wavelength at which the emission from the filament reaches the maximum value. This is the statement of the problem. Of course, the first thing is to calculate the black body radiation function corresponding to lambda 1 T and lambda 2 T, and when you substitute the values we get lambda 1 T as 1000 micrometer Kelvin, and referring to the same table as we had discussed it earlier, I would get the black body radiation function as 0.000321, and for lambda 2 T value of 1900 micrometer Kelvin, I would get the black body radiation function as 0.052111. Now from this radiation of lambda 1 to lambda 2, I would of course take the difference between these two and find and indicate that the error is 5.18%. Sorry, not the error, it's 5.18% of the radiation energy emitted falls in the visible range. Now if we take up the wavelength corresponding to maximum emissive power, so the maximum wavelength would be, of course, from Wien's displacement law, we would get the value directly as lambda max as 1.16 micrometer. There is another problem wherein there is an isothermal enclosure at uniform temperature, and there are two small surfaces A and B which are placed, and the irradiation to the surface by the enclosure of course is 6200 watt per meter square. Irradiation in the sense it means to say whatever is the incident radiation, and absorption rates of these surfaces A and B are 5500 and 620 watt per meter square for surfaces A and B, and when steady state is established, the problem is expecting us to calculate, number one, what are the heat fluxes to each surfaces and what are the temperatures. Secondly, absorptivity of both the surfaces, and thirdly, emissive power of each surface, and number four, emissivity of each surface. Now of course, since this enclosure is isothermal, though the temperature of TA and TB would be equal, and we name that temperature as T, and the irradiation of the surface would be equivalent to its emission from the surface. So we would take Stephen-Boltzmann's law and tell sigma T to the power 4 and substitute Stephen-Boltzmann's constant and get the value of T as 575 Kelvin. Secondly, the absorptivity of the surface is to be calculated. We know that 5500 watt per meter square is absorbed by surface A, whereas 6200 watt per meter square is the incident radiation or irradiation. So if we take a ratio of these two, we get 0.887, and that is the absorptivity of surface A. And absorptivity of surface B is 0.1. Now if we take the third emissive power at each surface, we apply Kirchhoff's law, and of course Kirchhoff's law tells us that thermal equilibrium, your energy absorbed is energy emitted. So we get energy absorbed as 5500 watt per meter square because we know the value of G and we know the value of alpha A. We also know the value of alpha B and G, so we get 620 watt per meter square. So number 4, it is expecting us to calculate the emissivity of each surface, and again as per Kirchhoff's law, your emissivity is equal to absorptivity provided there are thermal equilibrium conditions existing. So we get epsilon A is equal to alpha A is equal to 0.887 and epsilon B is equal to alpha B as 0.1. So the remaining things we will discuss it in the next class session.